start us off, we're going to be making some scalloped corn. I need 2 cans of corn at the very bottom of a medium-sized mixing bowl. We're going to add in 1.5 cups of half and half, or you can do heavy whipping cream to kind of give it a thicker texture, 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of a nutmeg, and then 3 eggs. And then we're going to just go ahead and get that stirred. And you can definitely go ahead and whip your eggs together before you put it in here. That will kind of help the process. I also need 5 tablespoons of butter. You want to make sure that it is melted, and you are actually going to divide that. You're only going to put half in now, and then we'll put half in a little bit. You're going to need a whole sleeve of Ritz crackers, about 15 crackers. Go ahead and crush all those up, and you're going to put about half of that in with your mixture right now. We're going to go ahead and spray a 9x13 pan. Make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom of our pan. And then I'm going to go ahead and pour that mixture in. And then we're just going to put some cheese on top of that. I put about 3/4 a cup of cheddar cheese. And then we're going to put our Ritz crackers right on top of that. And then put just a little bit of butter. And then we are going to stick this in the oven. You can go ahead and preheat your oven 325 and cook this for about 30 minutes. I don't know about you, but corn is probably my favorite type of vegetable, so I like to try to do different types of casseroles using corn. This one is a new one for me, but I really enjoyed it. It just had a different type of texture to it, which I actually really enjoyed. So if you like doing something different with corn, this is definitely going to be a win for y'all. But here's what it looks like after it's done, and it kind of looks weird when I take it out, but trust me guys, it's delicious. Up next is a cream cheese and bacon green bean casserole. You guys, this is the only green bean casserole you're going to want to ever make. It's so creamy and delicious. So to a medium saucepan, I need 3 cups of milk, and then I need some onion soup mix. I just used 1 ounce, but it does call for 2 ounces. So, and I do believe that'll be a little bit thicker if you use 2 ounces, but I just used what I had on hand, and it still turned out pretty good. I'm just going to mix that together, and I'm just going to let this come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to add one package of cream cheese, and this was already softened, and it kind of made a mess and a big uh-oh. But anyways, you want to make sure that the cream cheese is to room temperature, and then go ahead and add that in. It's just going to make it easier for you to mix it together and to combine properly. So once everything is mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and add the green beans. I have 5 cups of green beans, and if you feel like it's still kind of runny, you can always add in another can of green beans just to kind of thicken it up just a bit. I'm going to stir that together. And then I have 1/3 cup of bacon. I just found some bacon in my fridge because we eat bacon quite frequently. So I just added a little bit of bacon. And if you don't have the bacon, it's totally fine. But of course, bacon's going to make everything taste a little bit better. I have 1 cup of French onions that I went ahead and added. Stir that together. And then I have 1 sleeve of Ritz crackers, which is about 15 to 20 Ritz crackers. And then I'm just going to use a meat masher to get that all crumbly. You can use like a Ziploc bag. I try not to use my Ziploc bags just for crushing things, just because I think that it's kind of super wasteful. But anyways, I just used this meat masher, got it all crushed up to how I like. I have about 3 tablespoons of melted butter. I'm just going to add that and stir that through. Also have another, it's a little bit less than 1/3 cup of bacon. That's all that I had on hand, and then I just went ahead and stirred that together, getting the bacon and Ritz crackers well combined with that butter. And then to a 9x13 pan, I am going to spray this. I just don't want anything to stick at all. So I'm going to go ahead and pour in that green bean mixture and get that kind of level. Get those green beans spread out to how you want it. And then you're just going to put that Ritz cracker and bacon mixture right on top. And if you guys like a lot of the topping, then you can definitely like double this recipe for your topping, because y'all are going to want all that bacon and all those Ritz crackers, because that's what makes this so heavenly. I absolutely loved the crackers and the bacon. You cannot go wrong with bacon, you guys. You're going to bake this at 375 for about 15 minutes. And look, you guys, so heavenly. You guys are going to be in love with this. No more cream and mushroom, nothing. Y'all, this is amazing. Up next is this Nantucket corn. Y'all, this is absolutely delicious. Y'all are gonna love this one. I need 1.5 cup of half and half. Of course, you can do heavy whipping cream. I'm going to crack 3 eggs. One tablespoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and just about 1/8 of nutmeg, and 1/8 of a teaspoon, and then give that a good stir, getting all those eggs nice and stirred through. And then we're going to add 2 cans of corn and then 1 can of creamed corn, half a cup of panko breadcrumbs. And then I added about a cup of like a cheddar and Colby Jack cheese blend, but I just added about a cup and then give that a really good stir. And then in a 9x13 pan, I went ahead and sprayed that, and I went ahead and put all of my corn mixture right at the bottom of my 9x13 pan, and then I just want to even everything out, make sure everything's nice and neat. And then I went ahead and added another half a cup of cheddar cheese, or that Colby Jack cheese. I definitely think like a cheddar cheese would be the best type of cheese to put on this type of casserole. And then I have another half a cup of panko breadcrumbs that I'm just going to put right on top of that. And if you guys don't want to use breadcrumbs, you can always use like Ritz crackers or oyster crackers. Those are really good in a casserole like this. And then I have about 4 tablespoons of butter that I had melted, and I'm just going to put right on top of that. I kind of did a lot of butter just because I want to make sure there's enough for it to spread out and to cook into those panko breadcrumbs, because I don't like the taste of the breadcrumbs by itself. And then this is the result, what it looks like. It was absolutely delicious, and the texture was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed this casserole, and it's super easy to make, and you can make it ahead of time, and it's super wonderful. Up next, I wanted to do this Cracker Barrel hash brown casserole because it is super easy to do, and you can definitely do this ahead of time and it still turn out very, very delicious. So this is a great one to make ahead of time. In a medium dish, I'm going to add 30 ounces of hash browns to my, you definitely want to make sure you have a big mixing bowl because you're going to be adding lots of hash browns. I'm just breaking it up, making sure there's no like frozen parts because some of it is pretty frozen because I only thawed it for about 30 minutes or so. I have a half a cup of onions, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 can of cream of chicken soup, an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, and then a whole teaspoon of garlic powder. And then I added 1 cup of a Colby Jack cheese blend. You can do cheddar cheese or Colby Jack cheese. I just always tend to grab what's in my fridge at the time because Colby Jack and cheddar cheese usually are in my fridge. I'm going to give that a really good stir. I'm also going to add in 1 cup of sour cream to the mixture and then giving that another really good stir. I have the spatula that I was using to stir everything together. That was just not working very well, but I had a bunch of my regular spoons just in the dishwasher, so you always have to kind of make do with what you have when you're baking, it seems like. To my 9x13 pan, I'm going to lightly grease that. I'm going to go ahead and put that mixture at the very bottom of my casserole dish. I'm going to top it with 1.5 cups of cheese, and once again, you can use Colby Jack or cheddar. Even some type of white cheese would actually be really good in this. I think the best one probably be some cheddar cheese or some like sharp cheddar cheese. Any of those would be really good on top of here. And then I'm going to go ahead and bake this in the oven at 375 for about 40 minutes. This is what it's going to look like, and then after it's done cooking, this is what it's going to look like. It looks like a little bit of heaven. This is my family's favorite side dish that I make. They absolutely love the Hashbrown Casserole. It's super cheesy, super creamy, and delicious. I love it. It's such a great go-to, and you can make it ahead of time, and of course, it's going to taste so lovely. Okay, now I'm going to be doing a broccoli and cheese casserole, and I have made this before in a previous video, but I did want to show you just because it's really easy to make, and you can do it ahead of time, and it'd be perfect for like a Thanksgiving side. So I need about 3 pounds of broccoli, and I'm going to go ahead and boil those, and you want to make sure that you boil them until they are nice and tender. You definitely don't want to just do 5 minutes, because for me it took more like 10 to 15 to get these completely soaked in. Just want to make sure that they're nice and cooked through properly. So while I'm letting that cook, I'm going to go ahead and get started on my cheese mixture. So to a medium saucepan, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter and just let that melt down. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of garlic. Stirring occasionally and just let that cook for just a couple minutes. The garlic doesn't take very long to cook at all. And then once all of that is cooked, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of flour. Get that nice and stirred through. You want to really stir down that flour. You do not want a like nasty taste of flour whatsoever. So get that well stirred with your butter. I'm going to add 2 cups of milk, or you guys can do half and half. I just did milk here. And I'm just going to add a little bit at a time, getting all of that milk stirred in with the flour mixture, and you're just kind of wanting to thicken up a little bit. You definitely don't want to do it all at once. You just want to do a little bit at a time. I have this like a pizza type of mozzarella and provolone cheese type of blend. So it's 2 cups of that white cheese, and then I added about another cup of some cheddar Colby Jack blend. So I have about 3 cups of cheese altogether. And then I'm just going to give that a good stir. This is definitely very, very cheesy, but we're going to be adding this to our broccoli. So I'm just going to make sure all that cheese is melted nice and neat, and it's going to melt down properly. Or I guess I could say it's going to melt down even better if you're using like freshly grated cheeses. So it took me a little bit longer just because I used a packaged cheese. I'm going to pour that all over my broccoli. And then I'm going to give that a really good stir, stirring that for probably a couple minutes, just making sure all that cheese is properly combined in the broccoli. I did go ahead and spray my 9x13 pan, or I guess it's a tiny bit smaller than a 9x13. I think it's an 8x11. And then I have a whole cup of panko breadcrumbs. I'm just going to sprinkle all over my casserole, and you definitely don't have to use a whole cup because it was a little too much when it comes to the crumbs. So I would say about 1/2 cup is about right. And then I have 2 tablespoons of melted butter that I'm just going to pour all over my casserole. And then I have preheated my oven to 350, and I'm gonna let that cook for about 40 minutes, and this is what it's gonna look like after it's all done. It's very, very cheesy. I absolutely loved it. My kids did too. Next, we're gonna be making this Jiffy Cornbread Casserole. I absolutely love this casserole. It is one of my favorites for like Christmas or for Thanksgiving. So, so good. I need 1 box of Jiffy cornbread mix, and then I need a whole stick of butter that has already been melted, and then I need 1 cup of sour cream, 1 can of corn, and then a whole can of cream corn. And then you're just going to give that a good little mixeroo. You're going to spray a 9x13 pan You definitely want to make sure that you're spraying this for this casserole because this will stick to the bottom if you're not careful. I'm going to go ahead and place my whole cornbread mixture at the very bottom. You want to make sure that this is nice and even on top. And I cook this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. I know the recipe, it usually calls for about 30, but usually when I make this, it always needs a little bit more extra time just because sometimes the middle is not all done. This is what it's going to look like after it's done. The corners are kind of a little bit on the crispy side and everything else is gooey on the middle. So, so good. I absolutely love it. It's my family's favorite.
I have tons of other videos just like this on my channel, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss my next video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, y'all.